Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective. In this video I'll be doing my review of WWE Clash of the Castle. So the first match of the night, we saw Cody successfully retain the undisputed WWE Championship against AJ Styles in an I Quit match. And for me, I thought this match was okay, but the finish kind of let it down a bit. For me, AJ Styles did say I quit too easily. I felt like the match would have gone a bit longer. I mean, like, the match was 27 minutes overall. It felt like about 15 minutes. And it kind of, I don't know, it kind of didn't hit the way other I Quit matches hit, like the Mankind and The Rock match, though that is kind of a different era. Also Randy Orton and John Cena. We've recently seen I Quit between Christian Cage and Adam Copeland, which was far, far better than this one. I don't know, just as a match itself, as an I Quit match itself, sorry, it just didn't seem to hit that well. It felt like he gave just like, I don't know, he kind of the stairs spot. I get why they would say I quit. I just wouldn't have had him say I quit there. I felt like there was definitely ways where AJ could have avoided the steel steps, and in kind of typical babyface fashion, Cody hit him with the steps even though he said I quit anyway, which I've never understood about I Quit matches. You know, Cena's done it on many of occasions. People like Batista, Randy Orton, Miz. It's kind of like an old trope that I don't understand. But yeah, for me, I expected more. I expected the OC to get involved at some point. I expected Mama Rhodes to be involved in somehow instead of just slapping AJ. I mean, like, AJ kind of targeting her, trying to make Cody say I quit, but that didn't happen either. I think it was kind of deflating by the time we got to the end, because it felt as if AJ was going to quit to 3 Crossroads, which he didn't, luckily. I don't really feel like the Crossroads is a move you would say I quit to, and I felt like there was definitely a way somehow where AJ could have avoided the steps and the match could have continued. But yeah, for me, it was okay. I expected a lot more and way more intensity. The fact they both bled was very surprising, to be fair. I'm still not quite used to having blood in WWE yet. It's been so long since we've had it consistently. But other than that, the match really, as I said, had a deflating feel to it. And as an I Quit match, didn't really work. But maybe as a street fight, it would have worked better. And that's probably where it differs. Like, for me, if I had seen that match and have it end in a pin, and it'd be a street fight, I would have seen it a lot better than it being an I Quit match. Following that, we had the unholy union of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn defeat Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark and the team of Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill to become the new Women's Tag Team Champions. And this match again was alright. I thought for the most part the heels were tactically sound. They started working together perfectly and then turned on each other eventually, which is kind of how these triple threat kind of work when there's 2 heels and a babyface. I thought the targeting of Jade and Belair for most of the match was very good, and it again made sense with the story that Belair and Cargill are like way more dominant than the rest of the people in the match. So realistically, that is to be argued. But yeah, I think as a tag team match, again, it worked because the rules were changed where 3 competitors started the match and 3 were on the outside instead of having 2 on the inside and 4 on the outside. I think if they're going to scrap that rule forever, that would be great, as that was such a silly thing to do. It was like, why would you have a triple threat match and only have 2 people start the match? It's ridiculous. So I'm glad we kind of hopefully nipped that in the bud. And yeah, I say the only thing that really let the match down was the finish. And, you know, as much as people have been talking about it, Jade Cargill did not look good in this finish. You know, because she didn't really recover once she slipped off the springboard. And you know, say it wasn't just the springboard that happened, it was her, again, doing the springboard and falling off the top rope. Then she was supposed to do a kick, but she was down at the time, so then she had to quickly get up and do a kick, which then had no momentum to it. And then she kind of rolled where Bianca Belair was during the pin, so Bianca couldn't break it up, even though she was being held back anyway, so it kind of wasn't helping no matter what was going on. And yeah, I mean, it happens, and it will happen all the time, our botches, but I feel like, in comparison, I know a lot of people are going, well, Priest botched later on in the night and no one talks as much about that. I think the difference is that Priest kind of recovered from that really well and it kind of played into the story of the match well, whereas this just looked like an absolute shit show going on in real time during the match. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Yes, it's going to happen. I'm not going to sit here and mock or anything, because it could literally happen to anyone in the ring, really. And you know, I can't really judge anybody, as I've never even stepped inside a bloody ring, so. But it just did let the match down in the final parts, but again, as I said, it cannot be helped, and I'm very happy to see Alba Fire and Isla Dawn as the tag team champions, though I do have concerns that the tag titles might be less on pay-per-view now. You know, it has barely been any time since those two have actually been on TV regularly, and like Isla Dawn had this feud with Nick Aldis where he like wasn't letting her do anything for some reason. Like you won't let her in the Rumble, you won't let her in a qualifying match for Elimination Chamber or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see her go back to SmackDown to see Nick Aldis as a champion. I feel like that'd be a good segment to have on SmackDown this week. But yeah, overall, match was alright. Finish let it down. I'm very happy to see the Unholy Union as the new tag team champions. After that, we had Sami Zayn successfully retain the Intercontinental Championship against Chad Gable in a match that was pretty good for the most part. I think it was a slow start, which I'm not always up for, and I'm not really a massive fan of these slow starts. I think the concentration on Maxine and Otis on the outside was a bit too much going into the start of the match, but once they kind of left that for a bit and kind of got into the thick of things, it was really good, and it was a match that I expected to be very good technically, as both of them are fantastic wrestlers. And yeah, like I said, once they really got into it and towards the end of the match, it was really slick wrestling, really fluid, was very, very well done, and I would say what ended up being a very close second for match of the night. But for me, the big story is kind of the finish and kind of where we go from here, because Gable loses again, so I assume that on Raw tonight we will get the Otis turn, or Gable will just attack Otis and kick him out of the Alpha Academy or something, I'm not sure. But I feel like Sami Zayn kind of got to that point again in a championship match where he goes into Super Sami instead of Super Cena, where he'll just kick out of any and everything and survive any and everything until he gets the win to retain. I'm not a massive fan of, I'm not going to lie. He did it at WrestleMania 39, did it at WrestleMania 40, and has done it multiple times in between. They're just the big two I can remember. And yeah, I look forward to seeing where Gable and Otis goes, but I can't see it being a pay-per-view worthy feud to happen, unless they may possibly put it onto SummerSlam, which will be a slightly longer card. But yeah, I think overall it's great. I like having the inclusion of Maxine getting hurt again by a male. I feel like the male and female thing kind of is coming back into it, suggesting that again the PG era is kind of slowly making its way out with the blood and the interaction between men and female. I know it's just a chop block that happened, and it's supposed to look like Maxine's ankle got absolutely ripped apart, but I feel like it worked well into the story. I just feel like Gable probably should have got the win overall to kind of make the Alpha Academy feel like they have to carry on being behind Gable, and then give Sami the opportunity to go do bigger and better things. So I'm surprised about that. The fact of Sami retaining so close on Money in the Bank would suggest that he's probably not going to be in it, which I'm not completely against. I'm not the biggest fan of Sami Zayn, but I would have assumed he was going to be in Money in the Bank with it being in Canada. But yeah, so I've got this story kind of done with for now. I'm hoping we don't return to it for a while, and kind of Gable goes on to do his own thing and Sami goes on to feud with somebody else. But yeah, the match itself was very good, and the storytelling as far as match goes was very good, and I look forward to seeing what happens with Gable and Otis going into Raw tonight. Next up, we had Bayley successfully retain the WWE Women's Championship against Piper Niven in a match that was actually really good and a lot better than I assumed it was going to be. The inclusion of Chelsea Green worked again very well here with Piper Niven, and yeah, I think the only thing that again let it down was the finish. I'm not sure whether Piper kind of over-rotated on the crucifix roll-up, but yeah, it didn't look like her shoulders were all down. But honestly, I don't mind as much as in other matches where I've seen. It's a big thing that Bayley has won her 2 title matches since winning the title. Her 2 title matches, and where she's retained, she has won by roll-up, which I assume isn't great looking, but in other way I don't mind, just because Piper Niven would be tough to beat anyway, but I assume the match would have ended by Macho Man Elbow. But yeah, Niven looked really good here, and again, it's kind of like the 3rd championship match she's had, I think, overall for a singles world championship, which they've been against Bayley, Becky and Charlotte, and all 3 matches were actually pretty good, to be fair. I remembered enjoying the match at the Royal Rumble between Becky and Piper, or Doudrop at the time, and this match was good as well. So I think as much as Piper Niven isn't on TV as much, and I feel like she's going to probably go back into the shuffle of which she came from after this, she did look very good, and she should probably be used better, and I know a lot of people in the UK would agree with me with that as well. But I think, yeah, the inclusion of Chelsea Green and having her come back out in a mask and commentary obviously suggesting that it's somebody else when it's clearly Chelsea. I thought played really well, and the comedy worked well here. It wasn't just like comedy for the sake of comedy. It worked. It nearly got Piper the win, or at least helped Piper kick out of a Bailey finisher, which I thought was very good. That helped the match on its way. And yeah, I think for me it was all positives. And yeah, hopefully Piper Niven gets used more, but I highly doubt it just based on like her whole main roster part of her career, really. But yeah, and as for Bailey, I'm not sure who she goes on to face at Money in the Bank. Maybe she goes on to face Chelsea at some point and doesn't get on Money in the Bank. But yeah, I think, I don't know, Bailey's kind of had this mid-run again as champion, and it's a shame as she should be doing a lot more and she's not utilised as much as she should be. So hopefully we'll see a pick up from Finally, in the main event, we had Damian Priest successfully retain the World Heavyweight Championship against Drew McIntyre thanks to a rogue referee, CM Punk. In a match that was very good, as I mentioned the botch earlier, and to be fair, it wasn't that bad. I think it worked well into the match, unless there's a legit injury that's coming out of it. I think it was just one of those things where it kind of worked in a way. I did question whether maybe Priest could have done that, like whether he'd like let his leg kind of trap onto the rope on purpose, but I feel like it'd be very, very hard to do even with multiple tries to kind of do that on purpose. But yeah, I think just like they incorporated it into the match very well. The recovery from it was good, and yeah, it was just overall a really good match. Like I want to say it was like average, but in a really good way. Whereas like two big hitters were beating the crap out of each other for a while. Some horrendous sounding chops, and yeah, we all thought Drew was going to get the win at one point, and then CM Punk came in as the referee and kind of fucked him over again, which I'm fully for. I did wonder how they were going to have Punk be involved in this match without him coming through the crowd, because if he was going to come through the crowd, somebody probably would have gone rogue in the crowd and stopped him. So yeah, it was very clever having the referee go down and the camera cut in where you could see there was a referee, but it wasn't like the usual kind of referee size up person and having bright shoes on it. Just something didn't sit right, and then you realise that it's CM Punk. I thought was really clever. And yeah, just the booking decision to have Drew get screwed and lose in Clash of the Castle again in Scotland was very ballsy from Triple H, but I think it's going to help this story massively if we get to that, when we get to the point, when this feud comes to a head. As far as I'm aware, Punk is cleared or very, very nearly cleared. So yeah, I very much can't wait for SummerSlam to see this feud come to a head, and yeah, just see how it goes down, what the match is going to be, because at this point you can't just have them have a normal match. It has to be no DQ or a street fight. I know Punk said in the press conference he didn't want to do Hell in a Cell and stuff like that, so for me I'd probably have, like in my SummerSlam match card I'd like to see video, I'd have Punk and McIntyre be no holds barred, but then have Liv and Rhea do Hell in a Cell. Whereas I feel like at some point it'd probably be the guys going in Hell in a Cell and the girls doing no holds barred. But you know, either way, I think those two feuds are like the two main ones in WWE right now, and they are so bloody good. And yeah, as I said, very good match. Can't wait to see Priest and Gunter. I feel like Gunter's going to get some really good wrestling out of Priest. And then yeah, when we get Punk and Drew, it's going to be absolutely a barn burner, beat the crap out of each other match, and I can't wait. So those are my thoughts and opinions on WWE Clash of the Castle 2024 Scotland. I thought as a show itself, I feel like I had it hyped up more in my head than I had anything else. I was expecting a lot more, and I wouldn't say it would let it down. It was just a decent B-show pay-per-view. There were some things that let it down. There were some things that was really good, and yeah, I feel like obviously the highlights being Punk's inclusion. The thing, Piper Niven Bailey was good. The finish for Gable and Sami Zayn was also very good, but there was also the low points of, you know, the fact that Gable didn't get the win, the botch for Priest and the botch for Cargill wasn't great. I thought Alba Fire and Isla Dawn getting the win was very good, and some booking I'm very happy with, as I've been behind these two for a long time. And yeah, I said for a B-level pay-per-view, it was decent, and now we've got two big hitter pay-per-views with Money in the Bank and SummerSlam coming up, which I'm very much excited for, and I know there's going to be some absolutely fantastic matches on them, as history shows, and SummerSlam is the second biggest show of the year, so arguably. So yeah, I said more things to look forward to with WWE. We also have the debut of Uncle Howdy coming possibly tonight, which I can't wait for, and I'm fully behind Bray Wyatt. So seeing all this stuff back again, I think it's going to be fantastic. And yeah, I'm all up for spooky bollocks, so very high hopes for this one. So yeah, I think anything, overall in the comments you want to put, anything you want to talk about, please talk below. What do you think Uncle Howdy's going to do? Is he going to feud with one person? Is it going to be war? Is it going to be a massacre, as he said? Yeah, do put in the comments what your favourite match of the night was and why. Put that below as well. Let's have good conversations in the comments. And but yes, I'll ask you to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you later on.